Hello.
First time here. I really enjoy watching your videos. Great.
And you?
Yaroslavl Oblast.
I see. Any history questions?
No, I've always struggled with history, and to be honest, I never really took a strong interest in it. So,
Perhaps I could inspire you to delve into a history book?
I highly doubt I'll ever get around to it. But videos?
Then there's no point in watching my videos.
No, you're mistaken there. It's very interesting. I've learned a lot, or rather, I've gained a great deal from it, particularly because it's presented in a somewhat distinctive manner. Well, for amateurs, yes, the videos are extremely informative. Well,
But you need to check, you need to read books. I'm not in a church, I'm not a preacher, I can make mistakes.
I agree, but that's the thing about it. You have to read books for that. You need to set aside time for it, and you need to have proper motivation. I'm probably not that well motivated.
Then why do you watch my videos?
Well, they are quite captivating, I'd say. You can genuinely listen to them playing in the background, and they are incredibly engaging, providing a rich, immersive experience that resonates deeply with the listener.
However, 99% of Russian commenters say I'm lying. So why bother listening to me?
Well, they're just fools.
You haven't checked. Maybe I'm a liar?
Well, there are some things, let's put it this way. If not, well, I haven't personally verified it, but I've certainly encountered some of this information in other sources or heard about it elsewhere,
What?
and yet you haven't checked. Well, you're now going to try to pin me down on history books, aren't you? I haven't read any, but
In that case, what would be the purpose of listening to me if there's a chance I might be lying? And 90% of my Russian subscribers write that I am a liar. Why would anyone listen to a liar? Please explain.
I don't think you're a liar.
Why? Do you just believe what I say? You should really verify it.
Not exactly. Uh, well, before I happened to come across your channel at various points in time, but ever since I started getting interested in Ukraine, and that began in 2014, since then, well, from time to time, discussions and debates would arise. Starting with Kievan Rus and ending
Arguments would come up.
with my compatriots.
If neither you nor your compatriots have read any history, how can you argue? Explain your reasoning.
You see, whenever arguments arose, I would temporarily find my interest piqued in specific individual questions. I started digging into it, at a rather primitive level, perhaps at what one might call a Wikipedia level, right? Well, perhaps a little further than Wikipedia. You see, Wikipedia itself already has various links to sources and references within its articles. Well, I started digging into it a bit, and I found answers to the questions I really wanted to get to the bottom of. So, well, my sort of primitive level of knowledge of Ukrainian history perfectly aligns with everything you were saying. And well, I haven't found any flaws, let's just say that.
You said you did not agree with everything. Can you remember what you do not agree with?
No.
To discuss it substantively.
No, I never said I disagreed. What I meant was, when arguments about Ukraine came up, when discussions about Ukrainian history arose, I was trying to find something for myself, to understand it personally, to figure it all out. But those were very specific, isolated moments. Well, something like that.
Seriously, I still can't grasp why you'd bother watching me if you're not going to fact check what I'm saying. I'm not some church preacher you are obligated to believe. My objective is to encourage individuals to genuinely engage with a topic, prompting them to investigate, verify information thoroughly, and potentially identify any inaccuracies. I very often make mistakes with dates because, well, in a conversation it's really difficult to immediately remember the precise term or date. My subscribers write to me that I was talking about a certain protocol and it wasn't. The Lisbon one, it was the Luxembourg one. Well, yes, I mixed up the names and so on.
Well, all right, let's look at this way. I grasp what you're doing, and I comprehend your motivation. However, from my standpoint as a tech professional who has never truly delved into history, and frankly, I'm unlikely to develop a strong inclination to start reading historical books, However, despite that, I would still say I think you're wrong to dismiss this audience people like me. Well, if you're not going to read any books, then there's no point in watching my videos.
Well, what's the point?
Well, again,
I've heard you. I've heard your point about 3 times now. You see?
the level of trust I have in you is high because everything I know about Ukraine and everything I have ever read perfectly aligns with what you are saying. At the very least, I haven't come across a single instance that caught my ear and compelled me to go check it further. You know how it is. Sometimes something just catches your ear, right? And you think, something's not right here. I should go check it, for me. During the entire time I've watched your videos, not once did anything catch my attention in a bad way. Everything just made sense and fit the overall narrative.
I understand. I've successfully wormed my way into your trust like a cunning swindler, you comprehend? And now you simply confide in me, nothing more than that. A simple check would only have increased your trust in me, and nothing more than that. That is definitely not my goal or intention.
I understand that's not your goal.
We're going over the same thing repeatedly. Did you have a question? Do you want to tell me something or ask something so we can have a dialogue? I've heard you. Thank you.
Okay, just a moment. Hold on. I had something. There was a point I wanted to make. It wasn't really a doubt, but more of a question. Just give me a second to recall it.
Sorry.
Okay. In one of your videos, you had a discussion, a debate with a Russian man. Well, not a debate, but rather a discussion you were having, right? And the conversation veered towards the Ukrainian people. And something was brought up about regions like Kuban and Belgorod, and the question arose, where is the line drawn? Where are those very Ukrainian people who? That's precisely where a question arose for me. Well, isn't it really the case that there are no distinct borders separating different people?
Of course not.
Uh, so, given that there are no distinct boundaries, how do you believe the borders of the Ukrainian people should precisely be determined? You know, territorially.
Ukrainian borders. Why define the borders of the Ukrainian nation? There are borders of the Ukrainian state.
Yes, yes, of course. But at the same time, there is, well, you do distinguish the Ukrainian people, right?
Yep. Therefore, the settlement boundaries of any nation are always defined by its rural areas. It's not about the cities, it's about the rural areas. So if a specific village has a majority, let's say, more than 50% ethnic Ukrainians residing there, then, in theory, we can categorize that particular village as a border region. If a particular village is inhabited by approximately 60, 70, or 80% ethnic Ukrainians, it's evident that this village falls within the residential area of Ukrainians. No people truly has definitive borders. There are instances of mixed marriages, and many border territories experience highly active cross-border interactions, including familial ones. So this is purely a scientific point of view, you see. So how can we map out the territory where Ukrainians reside? Ukrainians reside in southern Belarus. Ukrainians also live in the Belgorod, Kursk, and Voronezh oblasts, as well as in Kuban. Ukrainians only lived in the north of Crimea at the beginning of the 20th century. There were no Ukrainians in Crimea at the beginning of the 20th century. Ukrainians also live in eastern Slovakia. There are several dozen villages there, and so on. So this is a purely scientific approach. Similarly, we have, for example, small enclaves of Russian villages on Ukrainian territory, near Putyvl.
And Ukrainian ones on Russian territory.
And there are also Ukrainian villages in the territory of Russia, Polish ones in Belarus, in Slovakia, in Hungary, in Romania, and in Moldavia, also known as Moldova. And similarly, there are Moldovan villages in the south of Ukraine. In the same way, we also have Romanian-speaking villages predominantly inhabited by Romanians located in northern Bukovina. We have many villages with Hungarian populations in Zakarpattia, and the city of Berehov, located in Zakarpattia, is almost entirely Hungarian-speaking, in fact. even the urban population, and so on. This problem of mixed territories. A purely scientific problem, where one people's border is and where another begins. State borders are formed through, so to speak, historical
I understand.
struggle, expansion, wars, and so on.
But here's a question for you. If we're not going to get into any kind of revanchism, how do you see the state borders as they relate to Russia? The Ukrainian borders, well, if we're not considering the east of Ukraine, but instead looking at the northern borders with Russia, where do you believe they are actually situated?
He's gone. That was an interesting start. Well, it's pleasant that people in Russia are watching me, but nothing more than that. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Where from?
Donetsk,
Say please, Palyanitsia.
Pavianetsia.
That's not very good. From where?
What exactly is the mistake?
Where from?
Donetsk city, I told you. Did you not hear me well?
All right, fine, I'll believe you. I can hear well. I was trying to check. In my opinion, you're not from there, but it doesn't really matter.
Agree.
Why did you go on Chatroulette and choose Ukraine?
I talk.
About what?
Mostly political topics, military actions.
Good at politics and military actions?
More than about 80% of the people here.
Seriously? Military education?
Listen, in order to become more knowledgeable than a person who gathers all their information.
I asked you directly, do you have a military education?
No.
Then you're just as much of a layman in these matters as I am.
Well, once again, it still seems to be the case that I possess more knowledge than the greater portion of the general populace.
How do you know more? What sources of information do you have?
Well, you see, I'm simply not constrained by the political situation or anything of that sort. I watch the news. I watch American and Russian news out of interest.
Many other individuals do the same. Or do you believe you're uniquely intelligent?
Based on the responses given by Ukrainians, it seems that they primarily consume Ukrainian news.
And you watch American, right? Russian, European. Do you speak the languages?
English, yes. Well, again,
B2 level?
it's enough for me to consume information. I haven't taken any tests. I would say that
You believe you're proficient. I get it. So what new information can you tell me about the military actions compared to the other 80% of Ukrainian citizens, since you know languages and have other sources?
I don't talk much about military actions. I mostly discuss politics.
So what exactly can you tell me about politics that would be new information to 80% of the residents of Ukraine who presumably don't know it?
All right, let me pose a question to you. Do you consider Ukraine a sovereign state?
Yes.
All right.
Now here's a question for you. Do you consider the Donetsk People's Republic to be an independent state?
Of course not.
Why?
Because that entity could not have existed without the support of Russia.
So what? Many countries exist with the support of other countries.
Yes, but
Does that somehow negate their sovereignty?
of course.
How so?
For all decisions that are made, there are economic and political levers, and also many other different kinds of ways to do things.
That's a general approach. Any country that signs any treaty, even one about trading socks,